I'm glad that you decided to come on the show. I know this is a lot for you to discuss, and it takes a lot for someone to be able to share something like this with the public. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your time. And if you just want to go ahead and introduce yourself, we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, my name's Kelly. I live in Southern California, and this is where the incident has taken place.
Okay.
Um, so on September 22nd of 2010, my husband was murdered right in front of me, due to the suspect's end on road rage.
Okay.
Um, Me and my husband, we were in two separate vehicles, and it all started with the suspect trying to run me off the road.
Do you
And
know why? Like, was there a reason, or just the person was just crazy?
the person, I guess he was just having a really bad day. His girlfriend was in the vehicle with him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She was 4 months pregnant as well, and they had a child together already. I say that because when I get down in the interview a little bit, this will make a little bit more sense on what's
Okay.
going.
Okay.
So he was in the right hand turn lane, and I didn't pay attention to him at the light because he
Mm-hmm.
was turning right. Well, instead of turning right, he decided he was going to go straight and try to cut me off. And he wasn't going to get in front of me because I was already proceeding through the light, and I wasn't paying attention to him until he was actually right next to me. And so I just sped up in my vehicle. He was in a hurry, so I let him end up passing me and getting in front of me. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't in a hurry. I was on my way home from work. And so we got together, side by side at a light, and I had looked over at his vehicle to see if, like, maybe we did do something, cut him off or something like that. I knew
Yeah.
I didn't cut him off because when I pulled out, there was no traffic behind me. And so he then proceeded through the light, cut me off again, and my husband is just behind me following me during this time. And so he's watching this go down. And I've driven this road for plenty of years. I've worked at my job for several years, so I knew what lane I had to be on to get on the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
So after he had cut back in the lane I was in, I got into the left lane because I needed to be in that lane to catch the freeway. So traffic started building up, and he tried to squeeze in front of me again, and there was so much traffic. He ended up squeezing himself in between my car and my husband. So
Wow.
now my husband is like, "What is going on?" And I
Yeah.
didn't think about calling my husband on the cell phone or anything. I was just
In
terrified
shock.
because
Yeah.
and this guy is just like riding my bumper where I was like, I didn't even want to brake
Yeah.
because I was fearing that he was going to rear end me. And so we go ahead and we proceed. The light had a picture on it, so it had captured him and his girlfriend in his vehicle, and this helped with the murder investigation.
No, thank God for that.
Yeah, and so he ended up getting next to me, and he tells me to pull over, and this is where my mistake happened. I pulled over, and
So the guy
so
got next to you and told you to pull over.
yeah,
So
him
what
he
was
got
running
next
through your
to me.
mind? Like, were you just like,
I was
were you
like, what
waiting for
is going on?
confrontation? Or
I'm sorry.
were you like waiting for a confrontation to happen? Or were you thinking like he was going to apologize and just like calm down? Or, I mean, what?
I figured there was going to be some sort of confrontation.
Right.
And um, was raised in LA County, and you couldn't like back down. You had to be able to make it and fight through some things.
Yeah.
And so I was like, he don't know my husband's behind me. He thinks it's just me. And so I pull in, thinking what was a parking spot, but it wasn't. I get out of my car and I'm walking up to his door to be like, hey, what's wrong with you? And I know it, he kicks open his door. He has his seatbelt on, and he shows me his weapon. And it's a revolver. It's already sitting on his lap. And at that
Wow.
time, I completely panic. And my husband starts running up and is yelling at him, what are you doing messing with my wife? And I ran towards my husband. I couldn't even get gun out of my mouth. I was just completely like in shock and in fear. and my husband like went to his car door, and my husband seen it. So my husband stood up. We backed up about 15 feet. This is caught on camera as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we backed up, and the suspect fired one shot, and it hit my husband in his carotid artery. At the
Wow.
time, I didn't know my husband had gotten hit with a bullet, and so we run to our, like, he ran to his car, I ran to my car, and I was looking for a pen to get the suspect's license plate. And the suspect pulled right next to my vehicle and popped his door open, to see if he could see me. Obviously, he was gonna shoot me.
So you had
And
no doubt in
so,
your mind he was going to shoot you next.
absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
just shocked that I don't know. I'm shocked by the whole thing, but I think most of all what shocks me is that he didn't he hesitated and didn't shoot you when he shot your husband. You know what I mean? It's like what was
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just it's crazy how that happened because normally, I mean, it's rare that you hear about this sort of incident, but it's
right.
even crazier when you hear about they let one person go and let
Hmm.
the you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
know. That's just a little confusing to me.
yeah. I was standing in front of my husband when he had shot. And so if I would have turned my head to the right, he would have hit me in my temple.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I don't know for sure who he was aiming at this
Right.
point now. He was just shooting at both of us.
Right.
But he did go next to my vehicle and
Mhm.
pop the door open, and he didn't see me. And so I didn't realize my husband was shot at this time. So he
Mhm.
starts backing out of the driveway. And I was told myself, you go into the fight or flight syndrome. And I went into a fight syndrome. I ran after his vehicle as he's pulling out of the driveway. And I happened to get a picture of his license plate. I didn't know it at the time. I just snapped it.
Yeah.
And I ran back to my husband's vehicle, and his head is facing my car, and he's moaning. And that's when I realized my husband was shot in his left carotid artery. And so my husband's 210 pounds. He was out of prison for 1 month and 1 day. And so I'm out pulling my husband out. And was, 130 pounds at the time. And so we fell to the floor together. And that's when I realized it. And I listened to his chest. And when you listen to someone's chest that you love and there is no heartbeat, it's the most terrifying thing you'll ever have to do.
Yeah.
And since I
No,
am in the medical field,
I
I
know.
I do know CPR, so I started CPR on my husband.
Mhm.
Um, and I called 911, and people stopped to pull over, and they blocked the driveway so no one else could see what I was doing. And they just stopped to watch what I was doing. They didn't stop to help. And so I called 911. They wanted to know what kind of cross street I was on. And I didn't know the cross street exactly. I knew I was on a state highway, but I didn't
Yeah.
know the cross street. So I ran out, got the cross street name, came back. I hung up on the 911 dispatcher. I just told my location and to get there, that my
Yeah, I
husband
would
was shot.
too cuz you just want to spend every
Yeah,
second you can with your husband.
and I couldn't be disturbed. I was I knew what I had to do, and I had to do it.
Yeah.
So help arrived it took about a good 7 minutes. I was doing CPR on my husband, and
I know that felt like eternity.
it did. And so the people that had stopped, the ambulance was going by but wasn't dispatched to my call.
Mhm.
And so I told them like to flag that ambulance down. And that ambulance came into an unsafe scene. They did not know what was going on. They just seen someone was doing chest compression. And so they come in, and it felt like they were walking towards me, not running. And I'm like, my husband is not breathing. He has no heart rate. Please hurry.
Yeah.
So they take my husband, and then now the police show up. The helicopter's on scene. The gang unit shows up, and um, they they're asking me like questions and stuff. Now I'm inside of a whole entire crime scene, and so is the van that had pulled over.
Mhm.
And I couldn't stand still. And so I was talking to this one officer, and I was like, I think I got a picture of the guy's license plate. And this other female officer comes over to me, and she's like, you need to get off your cell phone. And I had to get I had to give a tone to her like, no, I think I got this guy's license plate. And so I did. They were able to pull it up. They went into the business, pulled it up. They knew who he was right on scene. And so they ended up fleeing the scene, of course. And the media gets there and they're starting to take pictures of me. And as an eyewitness, you're supposed to have a witness protection plan
Yeah.
on those people, and they didn't. They posted my picture that identifies my tattoos on my neck on the front page of the newspaper. I was completely violated in that aspect.
Yeah.
And so I got transported down to the police station. My husband went to the hospital. I was able to get my brother on the phone and tell him, please make it to the hospital for
Mm-hmm.
that way I know what's going on. They confiscated my cell phone right then and there. Um, and so I had to sign a search warrant for them to go deeper into my phone, but they couldn't delete anything. They can't do that. So they had my phone for about 3 months and they
But
interrogated me.
what was the reason for that? Because typically, I mean, if you give them information that you think you have this, did they think that maybe you might have known this person or you guys had some sort of beef prior to this incident and that's what made them want to dig a little deeper? Because
I
that's
don't
not
know what
typical.
yeah, it's not typical for them to keep my phone that long. I didn't have a smartphone at the time.
Uh-huh.
I had like a wonky phone. And they said, oh, they have to have a forensic science go through my phone because the license plate was kind of blurry, but they were able to identify it on scene.
Okay.
And they were harassing me because I couldn't identify the vehicle. It was a Ford Focus station wagon. Now, a station wagon to me, I'm older, so it's one of those big old cars, you know. I didn't know they even made station wagons anymore. And so they were
I
really
didn't know
harassing me at the time
they
why I
had that
couldn't.
type of car either.
I
That's
know.
random.
And I was like, it looked like a PT Cruiser, but a little bit longer in the
Yeah.
back end. That's how I kind of like
I didn't know
described it.
Ford made that kind of station wagon. That's weird.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know. And so,
That's not like your everyday car, like a pickup truck or SUV.
yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah,
and then when you're going through something like that, I mean, most people probably think, oh, I would definitely remember that. I'd
mhm,
remember that car. You'd be,
yeah,
I mean, you know, because you went through it, you'd be surprised when you're going in the moment, going through those emotions and going through such an intense moment. It's like everything is just going on around you, but it's like nothing's real.
right,
Like it's just hard to remember things. It's happening so fast but so slow at the same time.
exactly. And so they interrogated me at the police station for about 10 hours. And they did tell me because when I was riding in the police car with the female police officer that gave me a hard time,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I've never been in the back of a police car. I don't have a criminal record. Will I be able to see my husband again? And she was like, yes. If they're able to stabilize him and they'll transport him down the hill. And so I said, okay, that's good. And my husband didn't bleed out, he bled internally. So there wasn't blood.
Yeah.
And so, which was better that it happened that way. I didn't want to see a bunch of blood, but even if I did, I would still be confident in my skills. And so I go to the police station. They're making me do a picture lineup. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to ask the detective to step out, you know. And so I did. I spoke with Justin. Like, I'd already found out, like, he was deceased at that time. He had passed away through my brother. He called
So
me and
how long after did he end up bleeding internally and dying?
I called 911 at 2:37 in the afternoon
Okay.
and they pronounced him deceased at 3:15.
Wow.
So it wasn't that long that they worked on him.
I'm so
Um,
sorry for your loss. I know you've probably heard it a billion times and nothing can take that pain, but I truly am sorry. I can't even imagine losing someone I love that way, let alone my husband. Like
yeah,
that would kill me.
yeah, it did. It broke me. It broke me really, really hard. So after I got through with the picture lineup, I picked out the right suspect. I met with the district attorney after, as
Mm.
well as the homicide. We were meeting constantly at places. They wanted to get more additional information and see what was going on. And they told me, the homicide unit told me they sat on the wrong house and they let the guy get away. And he was able to flee to Mexico, which is about a 2.5 hour drive from where we're at, in the same vehicle that he committed the crime in. And his girlfriend, who was 4 months pregnant at the time, fled with him for 6 months.
Wow.
She was in contact with the homicide unit for the first month, and then she went silent. And so I was
She's probably
talking with the,
scared, you know?
yeah, um, I was asking the district attorney, where are the charges for aiding and abetting on her, because she aided and abetted, or where's the kidnapping charge on the suspect as well? Because it's either one or the other. And they said 6 months later she came back to LA to have her baby, to get
Mm.
on, state assistance, and they found her at the hospital and they detained her. And they said since her story matched mine and she is now considered a witness, that there will be no charges pressed against her. And I know if that would have been me and my husband, I would have gotten arrested on that charge. I, you
Yeah.
just can't flee with someone for 6 months and it be okay.
So she didn't
Um,
say anything about she was held against her will or anything of that
no,
nature?
no
She didn't
additional
have
charges have
fear or
been,
anything like that?
no, no additional charges have been made on him or against her. And they did tell me, they said, but there is no statute of limitation in California. If she is caught with him or talking to him, she faces 25 years to life
Yeah.
in prison. And he fled to Mexico, and he hasn't been back since, or he hasn't been apprehended. The homicide unit said they won't go over to Mexico or have anyone go over there and find him. They're going to wait for him to cross the border and come back.
Which the chances of
So
him doing that are slim to none at this point.
very slim. And I'm pretty sure that she is in contact with him. And so I've completely gone into my own investigation. My life is determined to catch this guy and spread the word to everybody. So I had found out where his family lives in the high desert, where her family lives, where her grandma lives in LA, and where she was staying at. So I would go and I would do deliveries of a old newspaper, and I'd put the wanted picture in it, and everybody on the block got that picture
Mm-hmm.
pointing to their addresses. I spent 2 years of my life doing that, researching, and I quit. And then his family moved to Baja California. I lost their track, and that was really a devastating blow to me. And so I would sit on the brother's house and the parents' house with binoculars for like 4 hours watching their every move.
Just consumed you.
It completely consumed me. It still does consume me. Um, that is my mission today, is to apprehend him myself if I have to. The homicide unit, the last time I talked to them, they treated me like I was just like a nobody. And I told them, please don't judge my husband off of his criminal record. You know, this had nothing to do with him. You searched our vehicles. There were no weapons in our vehicles. We weren't
Yeah.
out to cause a problem. And they did. They completely judged my husband, which ultimately led to them judging me as well, because I was with a criminal.
Yeah.
And so I share the photo wherever I can. I get his name out there whenever I can. But it's only led to so far. And the last time I contacted the homicide unit was last year, and they were so disrespectful to me that I told them they'll never hear from me again, ever. I will do my own investigation, and I'll meet with the homicide or the district attorney that's on my case. It's a slam dunk case. They have everything. They got to catch
So
the guy.
are they just not wanting to extradite him because of the whole different country and that makes them uncomfortable, or they don't want to spend the expense on it?
I don't think they want to spend the expense on it. They did tell me that they hit the house that the girlfriend said they were staying in Mexicali, and of course they didn't find anything because he was going to run automatically.
Yeah.
He was gone. He knew she was getting apprehended. She was going to get, the detectives were going to find her. But it's weird because his whole entire family lives in Baja, California, which is right there by TJ, which is right by the border.
Right.
So she could possibly go back and forth and let him see his kids. And I don't doubt that
Anything's
she's not in
possible.
contact.
You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know,
So
the best vengeance you can have right now is just to keep spreading the word, spread the story, and just keep loving him and just telling
absolutely.
people, you know, what kind of person he was, who he truly was, you know,
Yeah.
share the good memories of him.
Yeah.
You can't get
That's
too
all
caught
I'm
up in the bad because it's gonna eat you alive.
Yeah, and it did. It broke me. June of 2011, I did something that was completely like if I was going to end my life because of this. And it wasn't meant to be. And from that day on, I changed my life. I didn't want to live that life no more because my family told me, they were like, Kelly, if you harm yourself and you're no longer here, Justin passed away for no reason. He passed away
Exactly.
protecting you, and the guy will for sure get away. I do believe in Jesus. I have a my faith is really high in Jesus. He could run on this earth, but he can't run from Jesus. And that's my biggest testimony,
None
you
of
know?
us can.
And so you are going to be held accountable. He will be held accountable for his actions. I just I've never ran into somebody that has been in my situation where I could
Hmm.
relate with somebody. I've had to learn how to live a whole different life without my husband.
Yeah.
I have not moved on. I will not move on. I just don't even see it being possible. And I don't ever want to give my heart away to somebody because I know how bad that it hurt to lose somebody that I really, really was completely in love with. So I'm okay with that. My mission is going to be my mission, and that's spreading awareness. If I could just save one person from not pulling over or from not honking your horn and engaging in any type of road rage,
Yeah.
I've accomplished my goal.
People don't understand how quickly actions can turn into something much deeper. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I catch myself in road rage sometimes. Am
Mm,
I gonna pull over and threaten someone? No. Have I done it before? Probably.
yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
But you know what? I've learned once I had my children and I've learned through experiences that gets you nowhere. It
Right.
absolutely gets you nowhere. If anything, it's going to get you into deep trouble. It's going to hurt somebody. It's just not worth it. It's really not
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way. And it was a very difficult, hard way to learn. But I don't ever engage in any type of road rage anymore. I don't even look at other people in their vehicle. When I get in my car, I'm in one zone, and that's to get to my destination.
Right.
That's it. If they don't like how I'm driving or something, they could go around me. I just I took that lesson. I learned from it really, really, really bad. My brother has a really hard time on acknowledging like what could happen because my brother does have road rage,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell him, I'm like, look at my story,
You're a
you
living
know.
example.
My brother went through it. I stayed at his house for 6 weeks, so he went through it with me. He's seen me go from my highest to my lowest point in life. I got to the point where I weighed 80 pounds, skin and bone. And so I did on June 24th of 2011. I changed my life. I told myself I am going to get my motorcycle license so I could ride my husband's motorcycle in memory of him. And I did that, and I put a date on it. I said, I'm going to get my license before September 22nd of 2011. And I did.
You
And
know
on the
that
1 year
probably means
anniversary,
so much to him.
yeah, he would be smiling
I'm sure
down.
he's with you every time you ride that bike.
Yeah. And he is. I wear his ashes around my on my necklace. I have his ashes and his wedding ring. So he
It
is
made
every
me
time I ride.
cry. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
god.
that's what I have of my husband is his ashes, and his wedding ring. It took me a lot of years to even give my brother his shirt. And I finally did it, and then now I get to see my brother wearing my husband's shirt.
Hmm.
And it makes me happy but sad at the same time. And
But you
this
know,
guy did it.
ultimately, he wants you to be happy.
Yeah. And this guy, he didn't just take my husband, he took my nephew's uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, when it happened, to see my nephews go up to my husband's headstone, and they would run up there, and the first thing they would do is kiss it, was the most difficult thing I had to watch after that. And so, kind of straight away from having my nephews go up there as often, I spent several years sitting up there every day, um, just sitting there, and that's where I found comfort. I didn't have to work for several years. I became a victim of crime myself, and I was awarded a lump sum of money that I was able to live off
That's good.
of.
You need that. You need that time to heal. I don't think people understand the extent of when you lose. I mean, people lose people close to them all the time, but
Mhm.
in a manner such as that, how you lost your husband and what you went through, that's a traumatic event. That changes your life. It changes your whole outlook, how you live your life.
Yeah, it does. It does. It changed me completely.
I'm glad
I
that they did that for you.
Yeah, I used to be emotional with certain things,
Hmm.
and I'm not no more. My heart's been broken so bad. I don't mourn death like I used to.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard to break me to get me to cry over certain things, um, which is sad. I just don't have that compassion anymore in life, just because my heart's been hardened.
Yeah.
But through it all, if I could just touch one person, I'll be happy with it because I still deal with it. It's going on 9 years, and this guy has not been apprehended. His family's moved. I've informed the homicide unit that I follow his family and stuff, and they don't seem to care. And so, you know, um, they could send people over there to the U.S. Marshal. The U.S. Marshal does have grounds to go over to a different country and apprehend a suspect,
Yeah.
and
Extradite them.
they don't want to, and I don't understand why. This guy is from a gang. He's an off branch from a gang, and he denounced his gang. And out here in California, if you commit a crime and you don't benefit your gang and you denounce them, when they catch you, they will hurt you. And that's the ultimate thing that he does have to face. I don't think he'll come back because of
Yeah.
that. And which is fine with me. You got a bunch of other people looking for you too, and so I do. I'm content with that. I just hope that he homicide catches him before I apprehend him myself. And it's unfortunate, but I'm not gonna ever give up on my husband. Never.
Understandable. I don't think I
Yeah,
would either. I would fight until justice is served. That's what you
exactly.
that's what you got to do, you know.
Yeah. And through it
Sometimes you
all,
got to fight your own battles.
I know. And through it all, I've turned around and I was like, I'm gonna give back to my community. So I'm a CPR instructor. I
Mhm.
have been for a couple years now.
That's good.
And I do tell my story to my students because if they see something, I do want them to stop and at least make sure 911's on the way because
Right.
no one did that for me. And just that little bit goes a very long way.
Yeah, I mean, a few minutes, a couple minutes, a few more seconds could mean the difference between life and death. I mean,
Yeah,
it really could.
exactly. And so that's my motive. And people do tell me, they're like, how are you even working? And it's like, I don't have a choice. I don't. I
You have
have
to
to
just
keep
keep
going.
going. Yep.
I didn't sleep in our bed. I never re-slept in our bed at our house. That day, I left everything the way it was. I never touched it. I slept on my couch. And then after 2 years, I couldn't take it anymore. So I moved out of my house.
Yeah.
And, it was just a bad spot for me to be in. So, yeah, I thank you so much for letting me get my
Of
story
course.
out. I didn't want to go step to step to step of it
Yeah.
because it would take hours to tell my story.
Understandable. But you know what? This
Um,
is, I know it will help people. And, even if one person, like you said, benefits from it and thinks twice before they do that road rage or.
yeah. And his son, the suspect's son, he's a teenager now. And I have found him on social media.
Hmm.
Um, and he got sent the article of the newspaper. And I send it out to everybody. I friended all they're friends, and everybody has that article.
Yeah.
People in Tijuana that might not know them, they have the article. His name is out in Mexico now. So this picture was a month and 1 day. No, this was right after he got released from Corcoran State Prison.
Mm-hmm.
I took 2 weeks off, and I just took him wherever he wanted to go. And my husband was a big kid, and so he's like,
Mine
"Let's
is
go to the
too.
aquarium of the Pacific." And I was like, "Okay, we're going there," you know.
Yeah.
Then we went to the beach, and I don't like going in our beach waters out here because it's not clear.
Right.
And my husband picked me up and took me all the way out to the ocean that day. And I was like crawling on his shoulders, and I was like, "Don't!" And I was almost drowning my husband because of it. You know, I was like, "I don't care, take me back to land." So it was really good. Here's another picture of us.
Beautiful. You guys look so happy.
We were so
Beautiful
meant to
couple.
be, and my husband always had that grin on his face, that right grin, and I'll never forget it. You know, never.
Yeah.
This picture is when he was incarcerated. This was 6 months before he got released from prison. This is my husband.
I remember those pictures. I've got those pictures. I've got them framed still. I
Yeah,
keep them in my
yeah,
bedroom because I don't ever want to, like, as painful as it is to remember those times, I don't ever want to forget, like the times we went through and what we've been through.
yeah, exactly. And I did. I was with my husband the whole entire time, and that wasn't his only time. He had went to county jail before,
Yeah.
on just some little charges, and I was getting my husband back on track. From the time I first met him, um, to then, and he was completely changed person. I made him grow up. I told him the piercings on the face have to go. You got to grow your hair in. Like, it's time to like grow up,
Oh my gosh, you remind me of my husband and I.
And he was just like, okay. And so I watched my husband like go from a young in the 20s to being full on 26, grown up completely different.
Yeah.
And I am
Changing for
thankful
the
for that.
better.
Yeah. And being believers, I know where my husband's at. My husband's in heaven building my mansion, and
Yeah.
I can't wait for him to show me around when I get there.
Yeah.
And that's where my faith lies. This isn't the end of our journey.
It's
We
not.
still
It's
have
really
it
not.
good.
It's just
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah. And we have eternity, and eternity that's fine. I know he's not going to be my husband in heaven, but I'll be able to see him forever. And that's fine with me. That's all I want. And so, yeah, it's still very emotional to me. A lot of people have told me get over it. And those people,
Don't
I,
listen to them.
I don't.
You know.
You realize who your real friends are when you go through such a terrific and um, horrendous experience that certain people just don't have your back. My mom quit talking to me for 1 whole year because she couldn't deal with my life changing, and she didn't want to be there to help me.
Yeah.
And I
Everybody
still
goes
hold,
through pain differently. Everybody heals differently.
yeah, exactly. And I still hold my mom accountable to this day for not being there for me in my hardest times. And so I'm better. I have a great support system around me, a
Good.
really good support system.
That's
And
good.
I'm so thankful for my friends that I have that support me 100%.
That's good. And you have all those beautiful memories too.
Yeah, he can never take my memories away. Those are
Right.
mine. And I've journaled everything. I used to journal every day after it had happened. So I knew where I was at that place through my life and stuff. And I'll never forget it. I don't know if I'll ever even open up those journals again. Um,
I haven't
that's
opened up the journals I had when my husband was in
yeah,
prison.
like that's the
I
past,
haven't.
and that time is that time. It's a different time
Yeah.
now.
That was the healing period, and I don't want to revisit it.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
keep it, but I don't want to revisit it and relive
right,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my necklace of my husband's ashes. I put it in
It
the
is
heart
for
because
you.
it's like my heart.
Hmm.
And this is his wedding ring. And so that's what I carry with me. So I tell my husband he's with me every day.
He is. He's with you in
And
spirit.
yeah, and I'm really, I'm really thankful for all that. It's just a sad tragedy. I never thought I'd be a widow at 27. Never. I never thought I'd be buying my own gravesite at 28.
Right.
And I did, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So, yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share it with you.
I appreciate you
Your
sharing with
viewers.
us. You're a strong woman. I just
Thank
can't
you.
even. Oh, it's so
I
crazy. It's such
can.
a crazy story. I don't even know what to say. I'm just so
Yeah, a lot of
emotional.
people run into that.
I feel like I
So,
can relate to you in a lot of ways just because the whole prison thing and, being a prison wife and people don't understand how hard that is. And then
yeah,
to lose your husband after, I mean, so quickly after,
yeah.
my heart really feels for you. Really
Thank
does.
you.
And I really hope and pray you will get your justice. You will.
Yeah, yeah. I believe in it. I mean, it might be when he's 50 years old, but that's fine with me. He's up for a 50 year sentence to life, and him running, he's not going to run away from them years. Those years will catch him.
Yeah.
And I look at California justice system because it's not very good out here. If he would have went to prison, I'm sure he could have gotten his sentence reduced to probably 25 years and done 80% of his time, and he would almost be getting released. And I think about that, and I don't ever think I would be able to walk this earth with that same guy ever again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you so much. I really
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. I
I
appreciate
hope
you
I could
sharing.
help somebody. Yeah,
It will for sure. You take
yeah.
care of yourself, and
Thank
if you need
you.
anything, even if it's just, I'm not feeling good today, I need someone to talk to, I'm here for you. Okay?
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Yes,
I
definitely.
really appreciate it. I
There.
love your guys' channels. I think you guys are making a difference in the world.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah.
I
So,
appreciate that.
yeah. Congratulations on your third or your fourth baby
Fourth, I
girl.
know it's crazy. I'm like, still doesn't feel real. I mean, the only time it feels real is when I'm trying to figure out what am I gonna wear, and I feel like nothing looks good on me, and I'm like big pregnant belly, but it will
Yeah.
hit me when the baby comes.
Yeah. Me and my husband, we were planning on having kids in the beginning of 2011.
Yeah,
So we never got the chance to have a family. So I've never got the chance to experience motherhood. And that is another thing that he took away from me. But
yeah,
my nephews, I love them. They keep me busy when they're over here at my house.
yeah.
And so, you know, I could
Well,
be the
they could
best
be
aunt.
your godchildren, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Yep. All right. I really appreciate it.
certainly. Thank you so
All right.
much.
You're
Bye.
welcome. All right. Have a good day.
You too.